Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to concentrate on the color yellow and the yellows that are in this set. We did reds, black in the last video, and then red in the video before. Now we're going to start concentrating on the yellows. And I'm skipping over the oranges because orange is a combination of the reds and the yellows. So you're going to have that in between orange color. Now, for the demo picture, I had a little bit of trouble getting a good reference picture, so I took my own. And we're going to be working on a very simple design, and that's a banana. I couldn't find anything that wasn't blown out, like they took the spots off of it, and there was nothing that was really good. Feel free to use this as a reference photo. I'm putting it up on the screen. And I did a sketch of it. Bananas are very easy to do sketches of. So I did a sketch, and we're going to do it again in Realism. So my first steps is that I have to find the right colors. Now, obviously, this has got a lot of warm colors in it again. So we're going to start out with your middle yellow. And in this set, you're going to go to your J's. You're going to go to 57J, and you've got your middle color yellow. Okay, that's really, it's not an orange yellow, it's not a canary yellow. It really sits right in the middle of not being too bright and not being too washed out. So we have the 57J, and I'm going to put that right here to make a comparison on the picture. Now, the banana is actually a little bit more brownish orange. It warmed up to that. We're going to put that brownish orange color on top of the yellow. This will keep the picture nice and bright. We're also going to go a little bit off of it. I'm going to off of the reference. I'm going to make it a little bit more dramatic, maybe bring my daughter back in, but we'll see. In addition to the yellow color, I'm going to then move over and look in my tertiary colors, which are your 54 colors that I gave you. And we're going to look in everything that has a Y in it. That's what we're going to look to. And we have 13YO, 12O. So that's like the most orange we're going to get. Now, 20 is also an orange. It's a muted orange. And we're going to use this in the shadowed areas. And I'm going to show you why in just a minute too. So I have the 14YO. I've got the 15YO, I've got the 16OY, which is yellow with a little bit mix of orange in it. Then we have 17OY, which is yellow with a little bit of orange mixed into it. This is where we're going to start looking towards these colors, because this is a more orangey color banana. We're going to take out the pencils that go all the way to 20Y, which is 20 yellow. All nicely laid out for you right there. So all you have to do right now is take out your yellow pencil, which you'll find in the jewels, and your Y's, which is the YO and the OY's, and the Y's. So there'll be about 6 to 9 pencils over here. Then I grabbed out some other colors that we're going to need, and that's for the spots and the shadows. And I took out a whole bunch of the browns. So we have our black pencil, we have Palomino, we have Good Earth, which is a dark brown. We have 97, which is a sienna brown light. I took out a beige, Butterscotch Golden, which is sort of like a goldenrod. And then we have Sepia, which is your really dark on here. So those are your colors. Now, I took out a bunch of grays. We're probably not going to use too much in the way of gray, because this is where what you need to know about yellow, and why yellow is sometimes tricky. Yellow is the only color that there is that does not mute. You cannot mix a gray into a yellow and expect a different shade of yellow. You can put a darker color on top of it, or you can mix it in with browns. But gray is not the color for yellow. In fact, it creates like a really ugly mud color. We may be using it in some of the areas they get really dark and you're not really using a yellow, but we'll see how the picture goes. So I took out my grays. Now remember, your grays are your best friends. If your grays are not the shortest pencils in your box, you're not doing something right. You really want those gray colors. And with the yellow being a warm color, warm colors are going to go great with this. They're just a little bit brown, gray brown. There's not too much here that I would put in a cool gray, just because it's such a hot color or a warm color. So I'm going to start out the picture. So here I'll let you have a screenshot of the colors that I pulled out. And let's take a look at what we're going to be doing. Okay, so as I said, the banana is a very easy picture to draw. There's not much to it, and there's no real way of really screwing it up if you're not going directly off a reference picture dot for dot, because every banana out there is different. It's kind of like flowers. You can't really screw up flowers because every flower out there is different. So I'm going to get out my 57J, my Sunshine Dawn. I'm going to put a nice tip on it. And that was my Jarlink pencil sharpener, because that one puts a really nice sharp tip on it. Now, I got a little bit of, I think, wet nail polish. See if this comes out. I'll be able to get that off. Okay. Now, the paper I'm using, I switched over to because this is original artwork, I switched over to a Strathmore Bristol Vellum, because it's going to be a little bit easier to take more and more layers. You can still use your cardstock. Normally I would use my cardstock, but this gave me an opportunity to actually test these pencils out on professional paper, and without the frustration later on of losing my tooth, like sometimes I do with the cardstock. So I'm going to get that first layer down, and I'm just going the same stroke. I'm not scribbling, no scribbling. Now it's going to come out very light, just like that. I can still see the tooth of the paper. My hand is here. I'm going to turn this on to hyperlapse, and we'll go through the whole process of putting that bottom layer on. Okay, now that I have my basic color down, that first layer, I want to start getting it closer to the color that it's going to be. And if you look at 14YO, and that's 14 yellow orange, and I have it named apricot, and you put that right up against that yellow right there, it is a slightly darker shade. It's a yellow orange, but it's not really darker. It's on the tonal linear, but it comes off as a little bit darker. But because you have that yellow underneath, that brilliance is going to come through. So we're going to take that yellow, we're going to take the apricot, and I'm going to go into the darker areas. And while you see, this is technically all a different shade. So I'm going to start with that. I may stop and adjust it. Now, from the way my light is coming down, and the way I did it, my light was coming in this way. It was really coming in very low because I had it backlit. All of this is a brighter yellow than over here. This is a much more orange yellow, and that's why I'm saying that this area, I may even take it down, going a little bit more towards the browner. So we'll see what it looks like when I'm working on it. You look at the top, you can see where there's some brown coming in. So I don't want to go too deep with the yellows. I want to start introducing the browner colors. So I'm going to see let's take a look. Well, that didn't take me long. All of here is butterscotch, golden butterscotch, and that's under the jeweled 62. I've got to take this color down another notch, and this might be a little bit too dark. Good Earth, I'm not sure. No, it'll work over the goldenrod. Okay, so I'm going to go to Good Earth, and I'm going to get this whole upper area down to here, just darkening it up. I'm going to go very slow and light on this hand. Look where my hand is. Way back there. And I just want to change the tone up there. And then I'm going to get all in here. Remember, don't scribble. No going back and forth like that. Nice even strokes. Now, if you're doing a little area, you can go back and forth, but not big areas. Now, this area here is in the shadow, and it really is not a problem because this is easier to pick out the color. Over here, you're getting to be a little bit in the gray because it is very shadowed. And I still have to decide what I'm going to do about that. I may ask my daughter. And I also decided to give it a little bit of green in here, just because I can, because, you know, it could be a banana left outside that wasn't ripe and then ripened too much. So we'll see. I'm going to have a lot of fun with the details on this because there's really no rules. Okay, so I'm going to work on this on hyperlapse. I know it's a little bit early, but I'm starting to put in some of the details just so that I have markers. They're going to get more and more as I progress, but just getting in the darks where the darks are going to go now so that I can start comparing my tones. It just makes it easier. Now I'm going to be switching over. This is still, I'm working with my Good Earth. I'm going to be switching over to the sepia pretty soon. Sepia is 110 and it's a CC, a color corrector. This is an example of the difference between real paper, artist grade paper, and coloring book or cardstock paper. This took on a much more realistic look really early on. I've only been working on this for maybe an hour, and it's already getting that more realistic style that I like. Now, I'm going to go... Now, with this being the picture that I've been working from, it is blown out because I printed it on computer paper. So now I'm going to adjust the colors a little bit, and I'm going to make it a little bit more yellow and bright. And for that, I'm using canary yellow. And even though it's very bright for this particular picture. The actual picture itself on my computer is much more yellow than this being much more orange. So I'm going rogue, and I'm going to do the colors that I feel like in my heart are the right colors. So I've just taken canary yellow, and I just want to get a lighter base. There's going to be, of course, brown going over it. And this is going to look very bright in comparison, the tonal level, but I will get that tone down as soon as I start with a little bit more of the darker yellows or the browner yellows. So I'm just setting the bottom tone now. Very light. Look where my hand is. Once you get used to holding your pencils like this, and instead of down here, your hand, it's so much less stress on your hand. And it gives you the layers that you want. So I'm just bringing up the brightness. And I'm going to probably take it down again with the pencil not quite white. And what's yellow P? Not quite white. Okay. Okay. Not quite white is a pastel version of pure yellow. So when I use it, it's going to be very light and more white. And these two color combinations, these two yellows, because one has one type of value in it, the bright, and the other one is more of the pastel value on it, together those are going to bring me to that banana yellow that I'm seeking. Okay, now you can see how much of the orange is in there, the yellow orange. We're going to take that down and then brown it up. What's so nice about working with Strathmore paper is I can do that. I'll have plenty of tooth to work with. I'll switch to circles because I have plenty of tooth to play with, and I want to just get that color in there. I've been working on this for about an hour and a half, around that amount. Big difference in how long it takes using good paper, because the good paper scrapes the color much easier. Now it's becoming very realistic looking. I think I'm going to be able to take this pretty far. So for a little instruction and guidance, all I'm doing, and it's not even that hard, I'm just copying the picture. Now because it's a banana and it's not that difficult to do, it's one of the best things to try for your first time. And if you have, I mean, if there's enough people that want it, I'll give you my sketch. I mean, it wasn't a hard sketch to do. And you guys can definitely use my picture. Once I get some of the shadows in it, it'll really start to look like it's coming off the page. And really, hyperrealism is not all that hard. It's no harder than any other style. It just, the amount of time and how light your hand is. And as I said, it doesn't have to be perfect with the dots. I mean, mine's not perfect here. And I've been using a little bit of sienna light for where the, like it would be like right here, where the dark, you see where the dark is? And it bands off into a little bit like that's light sienna right there, with a little bit of sepia and then a little bit of black, very little black, only a touch of it. You want to make the illusion it's black. You don't want to make it black. Black will flatten it out. So like over here, these color, this, to achieve this is the shadow color. And to achieve it is very difficult when you're using gray over yellow. And I say that because it will turn very muddy very quick. So work it out. I think it's the browns that are gonna do it, because there is a very warm tone over here. This isn't gray. This is sienna. And this is a natural shadow. It's not, there was nothing on here that I used Photoshop or anything to make the picture look anything but what it was. Here it's definitely a shadow. And choosing your colors just involves looking to make sure it's got a yellow in it, that it's on the yellow side. See, I have a line here that doesn't really belong. I'm going to see if I can get it off with my... It's annoying me. Look how beautifully this erases. Just totally disappears. And let's get that covered up. Where's my apricot, which is my... Well, I can use Sunshine Dawn. That's in a highlighted area. And we'll take a little bit more off of it. Now I just go in. I do need that apricot. The yellow is too yellow. Apricot is perfect. And there we go. Annoying boo-boo. Gone. And yes, I know it looks very orangey still, but it will be yellow, I promise. I still got to get that brown on it. I'm going to start to burnish my paper down here because this really is going to take a lot to really lose complete tooth. And I still have a lot of really good tooth on this page. Now, I've chosen to use the color Peach. Peach is made up of, and it's under the skin tones because you usually use peach for skin tone. And that's for dark skin tones and light skin tones. Is a tertiary color that has white, orange, and yellow in it. So I'm also going to add in some not quite white. And that will also help blend up the colors. By now, I'm using at least a medium hand to get the color on. And this will start to smooth out. I'm also going over the brown using circles because I want to push that brown into the paper, and that's the only way you're going to do it. And I want to smooth down some of the edges that are on that brown and make it look like it's going into the paper and not strokes on top. Just like that, making the dots go in. There's a lot of tan in here. So I'm going to add a layer of Palomino, and that's your tan for your under your skin tones. So I'm going to just get a layer of tan in there so it doesn't, the color doesn't get lost. And then I'll tighten it up with colors over it. And the Holbein's wax, so we'll see. The top is very, it's got a lot of black in it, but you can still see other colors. Well, this is a little branch from another, it's very dark, it's from another banana, like you took it off, but it's really dark, so it's not showing up all that well. It's dark in the picture, you could barely tell it's there. And then I think I'm going to put a little Palomino right above. And this line is hard to see right there. A little bit lighter than I did it. So I'll just take my eraser. That's better. You know, at first I wasn't thrilled with the black that I got from STARJOY. And to be honest, I'm a lot happier with it now. A darker gray, because this is way too bright. I mean, a darker brown. It's got little marks in it. And then this is definitely darker, at least around the edges. And then it goes into almost a pure black. I've started burnishing, and look how great the colors are starting to come out. And this can take a lot, this paper. And you could see I'm going in tiny circles. tapping that tooth down and bringing those colors to its ultimate height. I like that. It's not as dark as this, but I still like that. And I'm using peach to burnish with. That's the color I used earlier. I may go one shade darker. Gotta watch your hand. No, I actually like that color. I'm gonna burnish it the whole way. See all those dark hues I put underneath? All worth the time putting them there. Then I'm gonna go off the picture. I want to add a little bit of green into it. Just to make it more interesting. And I know it's not in the photo, but still. It's amazing what a nice burnish will do for your picture. I'm using a little tawny, which is 11O, to lift it up a little bit from the page. Because no matter what, as my daughter said yesterday, you gotta sometimes go off the picture, and I think it does need a little bit more down here. You know, I've never colored a banana before, and this is truly my art, because I took the picture. That banana is now sitting on my counter, probably a lot more brown than it is in this picture, but it technically is upstairs. So I bought the fruit. I did everything but grow it. I took the picture, I drew the picture, I colored it in. It's truly my art. So now let's fuck around with it. Get some green in it. Just because I can. Now, let's see what this... I think this might be too yellow. Yeah, you know what? Yellow ochre. Let's see. Oh, that's darkening it nice. See, experimenting with the colors. I mean, technically, I'm still learning this set. I haven't had it that long. I mean, honestly, I haven't even memorized all the colors to even know it. Like, if I was doing this in Prismacolor, I'd be like, yeah, that color. But I don't, not yet. Even though I've done about 10 pictures. I mean, I know the set, but there's still things I am discovering that it could do. Make my banana look real. I like this. Now see how easy this set is? We're working with the green, with the yellows. What green are you going to be looking for if your undertone is yellow? Yellow green. Now, the fact that I'm using orange, there's some orange in here with the green, it's going to neutralize it. So I'm going to get a little bit of green, but it's also going to be slightly brown, which is exactly what I want. So I think that this is our color. Lorry green. Yep, I think that's the color. Now, I'm not adding a lot. I don't want it noticeably unripe. I just want some areas to give a little bit of freshness on it. Not too much, a hint. See, just enough to say you better eat that soon because we're gonna go bad. And maybe put a little bit under here. I can go a little darker because it is darker under there. I don't know, do you guys like green bananas? I don't like to eat green bananas. I don't like them when they're ultra dark and the skin starts to get thin. But I'd rather have them a little bit underripe than too overripe and mushy. You never want to forget to clean your edges. You want to make them nice and sharp. How's that for a banana? Let's try to get the other side nice and clean. And as I said, this took me, I would say now 4.5 hours. Okay, now I have to find my gummy eraser. I may have to break another one out. I don't see where mine went. Now I'm just cleaning it up a bit. I didn't use anything on my hands, you know, to cover the paper. So, and I do that for you guys. If I was coloring something on my own, I would use paper under my hands. But every time I do that on here, I get at least one person that says, I can't see. Okie dokie. Just softening up the shadow. Now, I think I could have done a little better job on the shadow. I'm not going to mess with it because I don't have the proper stuff. I like to do it in ink. I do not like shadows in pencil. I said that before. But if this softens it more. Okay, guys, I'm calling it. I'm going to go spray. Well, that was the banana that I used. It's a little browner now because it's nighttime now. This took me about 6 hours to do. I would say at most 6 hours. I probably could work on it a little bit more because it's nice and brown now. And you could see, like in the picture from earlier, these lines, look how dark they got. And I got them a little bit on here, so maybe I will add a couple of more brown spots. I know it's sprayed already. I used the Rust-Oleum Clear. And you could see it on here now. But, I mean, sometimes you can get a little bit of small, tiny details on. Maybe I will. And then I'll snap a picture and we'll call it a day. And I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.